drip with it, let's sick hit it. I said minute, I'll admit it any minute. I went ape shit, .08 kid. Cost basis had them looking for the matrix, but it ain't there though. Nah, it ain't there though. Just me, myself, and Genie polishing the ground flow. Bagging unknown, then the court knows. Good slapping vibes, how that month go. Blue beams banging, pot of gold waiting. Data at rest, but the DM's never patient. Try to put a deal together on a one-way street. Tell them I'm not selling, baby, offer's not a thing. They say
Welcome into the show. I'm your host, FaXx. This is
FaXx.
Good FaXx on Web3 with my guy,
let's go.
the legend, getting doxxed for the podcast, the most mysterious man in the Bored Ape community.
Overhyped.
Speaks in riddles.
That's fact.
Only I know what he's saying, and this is how we got here. My guy, Goodmonth.
What's good?
What's up?
FaXx, the riddler, the riddler. Nah, you're the riddle cracker.
The Riddler and the Joker out here.
Only you, Jerome, and Gary. You know.
Let's go. I'm excited about this. I know a lot about you. I don't know how much other people know about you. And it's my pleasure to let people see into your story, which I think is a remarkable one. And I've been intimately following your moves only because for some reason, every time I make a good trade, you've made a similar trade with size on me, and somehow, that's how it shakes out. So, how you doing tonight, my guy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. This has been a long time coming. How do we know each other? We gonna dig into that? You remember back?
Yeah, we're gonna dig into that, but I want to play a little game first.
Hit it out first.
If it's okay.
Yeah.
Kind of an icebreaker here. So it's a little game we call Gonna Make It or Not Gonna Make It.
GMI or NGMI.
GMI or NGMI on
My
some
favorite.
NFT projects.
You gonna hit me with GMI, NGMI of tweets, or are we going at projects?
We're going at projects. And I'm
Let's
going
do
to
it.
toss you a softball here. I'm going to toss you a softball to start here.
I hope you got Utes on the list.
Number one, other side.
Yeah, GMI.
Other side meta.
GMI,
100%.
100%. If it's not GMI, what are we doing on this podcast right now? We get shut it down. we roll up
That's
stop.
right. Yeah, GMI or bust on other side. There's no question about it. I feel like the whole space is depending on it. And we're going to talk a lot more about other side on this podcast. So here's a little bit harder one.
It's GMI for the culture. Like, even I was thinking about this the other day, even if it doesn't ever become anything, even if it's just a glorified loot. You remember loot back in summer of 21? And then Beanie came out with Bloot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if
but
it's
those were nothing. What do you mean? Those were just words. Those were just like words. It's just a rug.
Right.
Those are rugs, dude. Pack rugged it.
Right.
That's the way I see it. Beanie rugged it. I mean,
right, but the words like the metadata that comes with other side, like let's say if other side was worse comes to worse, it's just a pretty boy loot. It's just a good design art on top of loot for the culture. It's still gonna make it.
It's gonna make it. So let me ask you about Sandbox then.
Voxels. Hard one, man. I know you have a big Sandbox bag. I recently called it Sadbox the other day.
It is kind of Sandbox. Here's the thing, right? They had a big head start. They're way further along in the development. But the culture, it's kind of slipping through the fingers of the culture here. So if they got big celebrities involved, the floor price is still holding, not much lower than other side.
We need to do like a show on Sandbox one day, just the history there, because they did have it, like they had market share, and I think they've crushed Decentraland, right? So like they've dominated there. I think one of the biggest things about Sandbox that was weird, and I own 0 Sandbox plots, but I did have some big FOMO about that, specifically when like um right after BAYC grabbed that big plot, or it was at least visible. I forget whether that got announced or not. I did have like FOMO on it. But the thing is that the ramp up time, like the plots of land are so big, and then the type of development that's required on it is kind of massive, right? But the game engine that's behind it is also it's very lightweight, but it's lightweight enough to get things going. And I think I mean, with the Bored Ape announcement of Sandbox, I got a little preview to this by I can't. Yeah, I got a little preview to this like months ago. You remember when I told you about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw the mock-ups and I saw some designs from it. So I was impressed. Like I'd never seen Sandbox actually like geeked out like that. So once again, like leave it to Yuga to, Yuga gonna pull up and show up what Sandbox could be. And I think they might revive it. Also, like Rumble Kong League, they just dropped their Sandbox voxels. Like you can run around in there. That's kind of been the pitch though. People who drop Sandbox voxels, like you can go run around in it. And I don't know what it is, but I do think that Yuga, with the amount of effort that they poured into Sandbox with who they hired to create a experience, might put some air in that flat balloon. I'm gonna say GMI.
Yeah, you're right. The Yuga experience is live. Gordon and Garga were seen running around the Bored Ape experience recently. I'm gonna say GMI just to stay optimistic here on my bags, I guess.
Yeah, can we do a meta GMI on that? Blue beams, like Gordon's blue beams, like they're just glowing. They're just sitting in pixels. They're not projecting. What was the take on that? What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, I feel like the blue beams should be like ripping through walls. Like I feel
That's
like
what I was
if
thinking.
you come across, like it should be decapitating these voxel characters in there.
Yeah, like it went from blue beams to lagoon eyes.
All right, next up, Azuki.
Yo, I hold 0 Azuki. Oh, we should. I feel like we should get really good with disclosures after the Kim K thing. You know what I'm saying? I own 0 Azuki. So not bag pumping here, but I think GMI, because these holders have been through the thick of it, and they continue to go hard there. And actually, there was something going around where someone was blowing up people via text message to take investment into basically the founders were going to give 10%, 15% of the business away. So you could come in on investment, swoop in on a top volume project. And like, if it were Azuki, I would do that in a heartbeat. I would come in on that. But
wow,
something had me thinking it wasn't Azuki and someone else, that I would say NGMI. So yeah, I'm GMI on Azuki. The holders are tough. They hold in hard, and the art is undeniable. Like, I don't care what comes out in the anime sector, like next, even if it competes with Azuki, like Azuki is still the parent in that parent-child relationship.
Yeah, I feel you. The art is undeniably good, and the community they've been through so much. However, this Vagabond FUD, man, is relentless. It's still going on. People are not forgetting. And also the beans art doesn't sit well with me. And people have a different opinion than me. A lot of people do on it. But for me personally, unless they do something about Zagabond and his past and just his, just general, I guess, place as place in history in the NFT space, unless they kind of eradicate that from the collection, I think it's going to be tough. So I'm going to say not going to make it.
Damn, you had a great take. You had a great take on that when OpenSea delisted them. Shout out the intern. When they got delisted, it was like just Vagabond FUD came crazy. It came in droves, and you had a take like right after kind of the issue settled. Was like this was insight into the fact that people haven't forgot. I thought that was fascinating because it was loud.
Yeah, they were piling on like, oh yeah, it's because he's a rug artist. Everybody blowing is piling on this guy, and so that's the reason I think that.
But the speculation on that was so high. The speculation on why they got delisted, I mean, it went crazy. It was like from being a rug artist to like it being not being US based and it getting sanctioned. Like the spectrum of why that happened, that was like that it was it wasn't something small. So NGMI said they've been through all this, and you think that they're still not going to make it?
I'm surprised they're not at zero. So,
but that doesn't change your mind at all. The fact that they're not at zero now. Because I'm surprised they're not at zero now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the thing. Like I'm impressed that they're not at zero. I think it's to your point about the tenacity of the holders. And so it'll be there, it's just in my book, in FaXx history books, I've already like lined it out. So I'm going to go with my bias. I'm going to go with my personal bias on that.
All right. You're white knuckling the NGMI then.
Yeah, I'm gripping it.
Okay.
All right. MFers.
I'm going to say NGMI. Shout out to the energy. They brought the fucking energy. They're hanging in there though, anyone that's sitting like them in this type of market right now, it's close. I almost want to give them the GMI with the same logic that I gave Azuki's, but I'm gonna say NGMI because the Satoshi like exit thing still is a little opaque, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because there was a point in time when, in real life, people who are not as deep into the NFT game as we are, I would talk to them. I was at like my kid's baseball game, and one of the dads that I know is like has a toe dipped in the NFT space was like, yeah, I got an MFer, and he's got a lot of money, this guy. And so he was just like flexing basically that he had an MFer. They were at like 3.5 ETH, and at that time I was like, man, these things are like really ascending. Of course, that was before Satoshi bounced. And so the thing that doesn't sit well with me, because I do love the meme, I think that Satoshi is one of the most interesting characters, in Web3. But before he rugged, previous to that, he had worked with another artist on dropping like kind of like a collaboration collection. And it sounded like at that time, like his plan was to do this with various artists. And, they're going to have these different artists do their own kind of like rendition on the MFers. And he only did it with one artist. And then he bounced. And he made it kind of sound like it was just like, oh yeah, this was his plan, like just like Satoshi. Now it's like the legend of Satoshi. But really, I think he pivoted on that late. And I think he did that right before the NFT space and the crypto space in general took a big hit. And I think that probably he was like a pretty early crypto guy, and he had a really good sense of the market. And he was like, you know what, F this, I'm going to take my bags and dip. I made a lot. And it is what it is. The art is there. The art stands and it speaks for itself. It's in the community's hands now, but that's
Yeah,
not
that's
a
a
good
take.
situation.
Yeah, that's a bookmark for some more for another show for a topic is like leaving in the hands of the community. I got takes on that. But Hazy B, Hazy B's our podcast operator in the background. He's got his Web3 roots and he just came through saying he's challenging you. He's asking you if it was a rug. Is MFers a rug? You gonna put that in stone right now?
Is MFers a rug? I mean, it meets a lot of definitions of a rug. You know, it also was done thoughtfully. It was like a type of exit that we're not really that familiar with, which is like turning it over to the community. But like people were in it for Satoshi. Like he was like the master creator, you know, and
Right.
he disappeared and he took down his Twitter and he sent like a departing message. I mean, it was don't get me wrong, it was like a very thoughtful rug. All right,
Okay.
two more. Goblin Town.
GMI.
Why?
GMI off the bat. Oh man, dude. So yeah, floor price is rough on this one, especially with where they were. I do think I have the highest sale in this collection on record with an 18.8 butterfly ears.
Boom.
But you know what, man? I think they are. I mean, I'm gonna get torn up for this statement. They embody a little bit of the nouns DAO culture in this weird way that they're not. Like, I don't even know. I can't really connect that statement right here in a short period of time. But just the way they embody CCO, they put out their assets. Truth Labs is pumping out a ton of projects. I think it's very unclear of a holder of Truth Labs of their efforts and how all of them tie back into one another. So I can see how you might feel that Truth Labs is overstretched and they're not giving Goblin Town specifically enough time when they got the 187 collection and they got the Illuminati NFT and they're doing all the items that they're doing across all their mints. They just had a mint like 2 weeks ago or maybe a week ago that popped off. I understand how people might think that they're just overstretching themselves, but I think like they're turning down VC money. They don't need it. They raised enough capital from the community. They got a ferocious community that's still out there living it. They had God mode timing with rebranding the bear market as Goblin Town, and I think it's only up from here. I'm stamping GMI.
You're not just stamping GMI, you're almost calling the bottom.
Yeah, it's the bottom.
You know?
Yeah, bottom's
bottom.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think GMI too. I think the experience was so fresh at a time when the NFT space needed it. Post, Luna crash and people were down bad and it was like really a ray of light and ultimately like all the stuff you said, I think the team's going to rally. I know they're under a lot of pressure right now. I just think what happened is that it caught too much fire. The floor price went way out of control. Like for all that stuff to happen, to go from, free to 7, 8 ETH floor, I think it might even touch 9 like briefly. It's completely unsustainable. So for them to be at 1 ETH now, I think is very reasonable. And I think it's a good place to go up from. So last one in our game, gonna make it or not gonna make it, Utes.
I was hoping. Man. Okay. The Utes art that was teased. Okay. The art formerly known as Utes art, can we say it that way? The art formerly known as Utes art was fire. And Scum Soul, who was the artist behind it, absolutely killed it. If the art is done and if they have the collection close to the teasers that we've seen across all those unminted reveals right now, they're GMI. But if they don't have that art, if that art looks like it's duplicated beyond 1,000 and people can't tell their Utes apart because they just smash the traits together and they start looking like the same thing and undistinguishable, that thing's NGMI. Losing the artist is big, so I'm going to go NGMI.
You're going to go NGMI?
On Utes. I was hopeful.
Oh, boy.
I was hopeful. I don't own any Soul NFTs, and I, despite opinions of Chain, I am rooting for Soul to make it. I know ETH people are going to be mad at that, but yo, I remember shaking my fist at Bitcoin when ETH was below $1. I remember having the spirit that you needed to get ETH to be where it was, and the spirit is there on the Solana side, and I fuck with the spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that take. Look, I was one of the people fudding Solana, fudding D-Gods and Utes, and just kind of like had to check myself and say, no, like let's think through this harder, challenge myself to see this from a different lens. And to me, like Solana in general, it makes a lot of sense, as an entry point for NFT trading with the price points. The problem is they have such a hard time sustaining projects, like meaningful projects on Solana. They have a big time reputation for these projects that just like pump and dump and go to zero, like just one after another, with the exception of a handful of projects, definitely D-Gods. And I've been critical of Frank. He's learning on our dime and our time, and we can say that a lot about a lot of other creators and founders too. But the other reason I was like a little bit critical of D-Gods is like the art was not universal enough. It's like bro art, like maybe it would work good for you or I, but it's a lot of people that don't associate with that D-God style. And yeah. I think that's necessary.
Agreed. I shopped D-Gods just for the airdrop. Like I tried really hard to get into D-Gods just for the take one Timmy on the back end with a Ute, I still had a hard time getting behind it. Unless it was like a Jordan jersey with a clown nose that looked some kind of funky. It was a difficult pull.
Yeah, but the thing is Frank knows that. I don't know if D-Gods holders know that. I don't know if they're willing to admit that, but Frank knows that. And so they spent a lot of time trying to, as in their own words, like study, what makes a PFP that's going to pull through and be an amazing brand. And with Soul Scum, when you read his post, his thread, like his exit thread, I actually like read into that and I started thinking about it. Today that we're recording this, the tubes, they have not been announced yet on when they're going to reveal. We're waiting on that. But I think the art's done.
It's a take. It's a take because I think losing an artist is tough. And the artist, professionally went out on the last final tweets of the last couple tweets of that thread. Scum Soul, he went out professionally. He did it. He put everyone up with accolades. Basically said like, fade Frank at your own peril. So he didn't put this on Frank. I don't think Frank's a guy that would like strap him with these non-competes and gag orders. And, I think this artist, if I had to guess, this artist let Frank read the tweet before he sent it off, but Frank, in my opinion, didn't ask to review the tweet. I think that's how much respect this guy does have from this artist, because the artist put a glowing review on him. And I'm not gonna lie, that artist saying, I've said it before and I'll say it now, on this exit email that you fade Frank at your own peril, it did get me a little shaken in the FOMO boots. I was kind of like, yo, I back that. I respect someone voting with their time and exiting, but then voting with their words on their experience. So I think like a GMI is very, very possible. My concern though is the scraps. Like if we really get down to the bottom of this, I do think the art is done. But I think scrapping things, now I'm going to go a little deep on this, but when you build companies and you ship products and you let perfection be the enemy, and I know we're talking NFTs and arts has a different standard, but sometimes that gets in your way. And let's give the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that the art smashes and hits on all levels, and it absolutely crushes, and Utes floor will never be seen as low as it was seen. Even so, if they're gonna continue on with this maniacal obsession, this like Steve Jobs hunt for perfection, you're going to burn a lot of people out and you're not going to ship a lot of product. NGMI.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I do think the other side of that, though, is Frank learned a lesson the first time with the D-Gods art. You know, part of the solution is the Utes. I don't blame him for wanting to make sure that he's happy with what they ship out, because this art needs to last a long time. And what I think is going to happen is very soon in the near future, the FOMO machine is going to turn back on, and you're going to be hearing about the Utes reveal that's coming up, and then the reveal, and then the rares that are popping off at all kinds of crazy prices. And it's going to be Ute season. And yes, I did buy some more last night on that dip.
Let's go. Let's go.
So gonna make it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's a thin NGMI for me there.
So shout out to Hazy B, our producer, bringing up the landing pages for those projects so we can take a look while we're debating on what's going to make it and what's not going to make it. We'll see. All right, on to the next one here. Goodmonth. What is the metaverse?
Yeah, played out. That's what it is. That term. No, but see, I think the metaverse actually is coming into scope and perspective. I have a little bit of like purview in just the conversations that I have with folks on the business side, as of today. But I think 2022, we've actually like gotten this focus of what the metaverse is and what it should be. I think 21 was this like euphoria, this like wag me effort of just everyone like capitulating to the doldrums of their day jobs and getting thrown into this new world and like meeting community. I don't think that, the takes on the metaverse at that point was just like, hey, there's this new thing that could crack open and these are all the ideas. 2022, I think the metaverse is starting to kind of like whittle out the builders, whittle out the culture, and it's starting to just understand that like we're going to make open source interoperable with people. Like if you look at Web 2 and you look at tech, there is enterprise companies and there is consumer products that wrap their IP in these products. And Web 3 is going to be a culmination of open source technology that the world has never really got to interface with before. Like if you look at the people that utilize Web3 technology and we'll say protocols, but for this podcast, I most likely I won't say protocol as much as I'll say technology. I think that we've seen people who've never used open source technology in the Web 2 world utilize more open source than they ever have by engaging with Web 3, engaging with that technology. So to me, the metaverse is the second coming of open source and the power that bees with open source. And this isn't talked about enough, but a lot of the things that come with open source is better security because it's transparent and you have a lot of people's eyes on it. And outside of better security, it's speed. You have people who can put together technology quicker than companies can be formed. Like building a company is a lot of effort and it takes time and it takes organization. Building a whip smart Web3 protocol or technology can do that a lot faster if you got the skills. So the metaverse, it is the place where technology moves faster than humans and humans engage with technology that's less packaged and wrapped by the old IP overlords. Is that too heady?
Let's fucking go! Oh my god! Oh, I'm gonna fucking break my mic right now. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm so bullish on you, dude. Thank you. Thank you for giving us that perspective.
Let's roll, bro.
All right.
I think the metaverse
Let's
is gonna. It's a big deal. Like at first, when Facebook changed their name to Meta, I was kind of like, man, I was like, that's bullish. Like that's crazy. They made that poll as fast as they did, even though they have the, even though they have the Oculus tech to really like lean in and pull it off, and they're gonna make a closed metaverse, and that's not what the metaverse is, but they're going to be a great onboarding platform for people to capitulate into a new world. And they're going to trap a lot of people. A lot of people are going to just like fall in to Meta's way of doing things. They're just going to like just drive off the ditch and just like be a Meta user. But the people who hop that ditch, well, let's get real. You're not hopping that ditch. You're navigating around that ditch right now and getting interested, or you're NGMI and you're going to fall into that ditch. But I think Facebook going with a rebrand of Meta as early as they did is bullish. If they did it any later, I would say it would be concerning.
Bullish, yeah. That's hard to follow all those statements. I'm just going to simply say that it's an opportunity because it is undefined. And the people who have the understanding, the capabilities, and the knowledge get to shape that, get to put their mark on it, and that's exciting. And this is part of what we're going to be doing on our show here, Good Facts on Web3. We're going to be documenting and following, our spin on it, how we're going to make a mark on the metaverse. And so before we get into that, I want to learn a little bit more about how we got here, how Goodmonth got here. Tell us a little bit about your history in crypto and NFTs, my friend.
Oh yeah, we're going to go over the like Mario Kart, Rainbow Roads boosters on this real quick. 10 years in tech, 7 years cybersecurity. I popped up into the cybersecurity startup at this moment in time. I was one of the first employees, and it was these NSA boys coming over from DC to start a security company in Silicon Valley. I popped on to do product and ops. This is when I caught the cybersecurity bug, and it was like very quickly realized that like there's a lot of people here that are going to be chasing around Web 2, we didn't call it Web 2 at the time, but TCP protocol, whatever you want to call it, there's going to be a lot of people that are around us right now that are going to be chasing around security vulnerabilities. And this was before like breaches and hacks were even like newsworthy, right? Then breaches and hacks started to run off, and I was just like, man, there's got to be another world where, there's native security because this shit is broke. Like The internet is built for communications. It's built for podcasting with my boy FaXx. It's not built for transacting capital. It's built to communicate with middlemen that they transact your capital, but there's got to be something better. And so like I knew about Bitcoin, but like it wasn't until 2014 when I was like trading Bitcoin. I actually didn't, or 2013, I was trading Bitcoin. I didn't own my keys for Bitcoin at the time. I was just trading over centralized exchanges. I didn't care about that. 2014, I started being like, damn, this is what owning your keys can do in crypto like Ethereum, where there's a mainnet. I started seeing that Ethereum was really the equivalent to Apple's iOS store. Like it was going to be a mainnet where developers were going to build. And I knew that they had the vision to build this mainnet, and it all came down to demand. So it was like, if demand is here, if developers show up and use Solidity, like crypto is going to be something. And specifically Ethereum, I just was like way bullish. At the time, I was like 30-70, 30 Bitcoin, 70 ETH. And I just was stacking coins. And I know like everyone within my network from basically late 2014 or early 2014, I guess, until now, or not so much now, but I guess 2014 till about 2017, I was a real asshole and just hammering people's phones, like telling them to buy ETH when they didn't even know what it was. So
you were that guy.
I was.
You were that guy, and
I was
you were
that
right.
guy.
Oh boy,
it played out. Yeah.
Did anybody that you like shilled your ETH call to like actually get in?
Yeah, I mean, people started dabbling in like after DeFi's crash. So that's kind of like, so after the DeFi crash of like summer 2016, people started getting in because it was like the demand was there. You know, the apps were there. People were starting to talk about it. Mainstream was catching a little bit of news on it. It was getting a little headliney, so people were getting a little bit more interested in it. And all the ICOs went away. There was less places to get wrecked, you know? At that point, you know, you were only really buying like Chainlink, ADA, ETH, or Bitcoin. So there wasn't really like people started taking that, but nobody hopped in 2014 to 2016 and wrote it out. And by the way, in 2016, like I lost like 80% of my portfolio. Like all my bags got wrecked. Like 2022, when you think of Luna and Celsius and 3AC News that makes headlines, I'm like, yo, at least you guys got each other, man. I just lost, you know, like when I lost my bags, like 80% of my bags, it was just like me, myself, and I hopping through Web3 Zerk protocol, like portals and protocols and coins, just like, you know, TVLs getting locked up and going to zero. I mean, I went to zero on multiple things. So I salute the Luna soldiers that had that experience, but I know a lot of them and they have each other, which is dope. Like,
actually, I tweeted, this is a tweet I made today, and you can follow me on Twitter at FaXx_ETH, and you can follow our guy here, Goodmonth, ETH. Is it .ETH or _ETH or just ETH?
Straight up. No, just Goodmonth ETH.
Goodmonth ETH. And so what I said is, if you want to play this game, you need to be able to take an L like a champion. And that's the situation. Right. You know, you got wrecked. You learned a lot. And you made it. You made it to the next opportunity. And, you know, I don't know how much we want to fast forward here, but somehow, some way, you landed yourself square in the middle of an NFT run in 2021 that nobody has ever really seen before. So, you know, do you want to walk us through a little bit about how you went from ETH, you know, kind of working through getting wrecked to this point?
Yeah, you want that logic tree, huh? The trap was set, bro. I was deep. I mean, like 80% of the bag was down, 20% of the bag was still here, and I was just gonna build it back up. Like, my my IRL life, was going great. At this point in time, I popped off, started a security startup with some buddies. We created a macOS security agent, and we sold that to a company that was yet to go public and then went public. So like IRL life was going good, and those dollars just rebuilt the bag. So I specifically kind of like blacked out on ETH's price from about 2016 to like 2018, 2019. Like if you ask me what Ethereum's price was at any point, like pre 2016, I can pretty much hit the price per the month. If you ask me anytime past like 2018, I can pretty much hit the price per month. But 2016, 2018, like I can't tell you what the prices were, because like psychologically, I just told myself it doesn't matter, right? I was just full sending just fiat to ETH as much as I could every month to stack that bag.
Every month.
Every month, yeah, good months. That's where it comes from, bro. You stack the long bags for the good months. And then, so it's 2019, 2019, and like the NFT like rumor mill is kind of simmering, but it doesn't have it's a bidless market. But then 2020 pops off, and like the macro world that was happening, I had the S&P shorted. I had all these things shorted in March. I was actually watching, that the whole virus rundown in Wuhan before it even hit the States. So I made a big bag off of that huge sell-off in March 2020. But then I just continued to like layer down my shorts on the S&P. Because if you told me that Jerome was going to roll out some QE and do all these buybacks, I would have told you were out of your mind. And somebody in my circle like did tell me that like, yeah, like watch out for this. And I like laughed at them. I like, shout out to you. You know who you are. You took the dub on that one. I laughed at them, and then I just had I shorted the S&P because I was like, this thing's coming down. There's no way. This like you can't move the goalposts on this one. But I guess that's a little bit of a tangent there. But that's when NFTs, like I started realizing that the purchasing process or the purchasing psychology of people was going to be extremely warped plus 2020. And so I even have like that feeds into today with the Fed's interest rates and everything going up, but our market like not really like tanking like everyone expected, which we could talk about on another show. So I knew that purchasing power was going to be totally warped. I knew people were thrown at home, working remote. I also knew that people that have tech bags and Web2 tech money are going to be like inefficient on Zoom and not really working great from home and pulling up their computers and degenning into things. I actually thought it was going to be just a lot of gambling was going to come out of this, which I think it has. But one thing that really caught my attention was NFTs started coming around, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to experiment with this. It's another way for me to spend ETH and just like interact with my coins. So I started interacting with these NFTs. I really like, my happiness goes up when I'm looking at art. So I was looking at, Foundation, Super Rare, Tezos, and their like Hen platform at the time, was just buying a bunch of this art, was getting connected to artists because of it, became this like pseudo collector, where it was a weird experience because I'm not like an art collector, but then I became one, and I have this weird like run-in with somebody at a cafe where that's all. Okay. You want to talk about BAYC?
No. So let me stop you for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple things that you said there that really stood out to me. One is you said I want to interact with my ETH.
Yeah.
And two, when I look at art, my happiness goes up.
Yeah.
And
art over charts, baby.
art over charts, art over charts. And so like this is fundamentally like what people don't understand about NFTs. Like if people understood what you just said, that I want to interact with my ETH and my happiness goes up when I'm looking at art, maybe they would have had an opportunity to be in the position that you put yourself into when the Bored Ape Yacht Club collection was minting out. So that first night, so this mindset puts you squarely into the NFT space. And so that first night when Bored Ape Yacht Club was minting out,
We was there.
were you there? Were you hitting that? Were you hitting that mint button? What's up?
I hit it. Hit it on the old Bored Ape Yacht Club .com right there. Yeah, dude. I was there. And I think the thing is that because I was interacting with my ETH, because I was buying art, because I was connecting with other people like me on Twitter, right? I started to kind of map the trends, and there was this one-of-one art world building, and then there was this, high variance day trader that plays fantasy sports persona building as well. So I started seeing Top Shot, like shout out to Top Shot for all the onboarding you did to getting these degens onto this chain, because I know everyone that has a Top Shot bag, it's down bad. I'm with you on that. I got a few bags. I don't own a Top Shot, but I watched all you people. Like I watched you buy, and I watched where you went. And Zed Run was the ditch. Like Zed Run was the next ditch that like Top Shot people were running to, and so. There was a point in time in April of 2020 when I ran the horse appraising market in Zed Run. And so it was like you weren't buying a horse if I didn't have an appraisal on it. And so that was like, I was really mapping that persona. I was like, okay, the gamblers are here. The high variance fantasy sports people are here. They went from Top Shot. They've gone to Zed Run, which is a hell of a jump. Like, going from Top Shot to like getting engaged on Zed Run, that I'm very grateful for that, like on ramp and boosters, right? It was like Top Shot on ramped, Zed Run boosted it. And in the Zed Run Discord channel, somebody was like, yeah, I'm like looking, has anyone else got these monkeys? And I was like, oh, what's going on with these monkeys? And then I pop over to Twitter and I'm looking at through my artist friends, and like, no one's talking about monkeys. So I'm like, okay, this is like, so then I go to Punk 4192 or 4196, whoever was the punk that had the big nouns punk now, 4156, I think. At the time he had the, crypto punk with the blue bandana ape. And I think I might have caught him like commenting. I don't even think he linked Bored Ape Yacht Club. It was just like, I think he mentioned something about a monkey, like, and even at the time, that guy had the market share on what an ape PFP was. Like,
that's right.
Punk 4156 was the ape before the apes came in. So I actually think he had a lot to do with preceding the meta of Bored Ape Yacht Club coming into it. But
yeah, no, that's a good call.
But I think I saw him maybe say something about a monkey. I saw the Zed Run comment about the monkey. And then I stumbled on Bored Ape Yacht Club. I looked at their Twitter. They had about like 7 tweets, like launching their project. They did a lot of like reach out to people's DMs to try to get them involved. They didn't do a lot of like Twitter like marketing at the time. And so I just hit the website and saw Mint, and yeah, I mean, I didn't like do any diligence. I just saw 3. I think they had like 3 monkeys on the webpage at the time. That like is what this art would look like. And so I minted it. And then it was like 2 a.m. for me. And I go to my MetaMask wallet. It was the first time I had an NFT that I minted and it zipped to my wallet without me seeing what it was. It was the first time it was like, You have no idea what you got unless you check it in your wallet. I'd minted things where like I minted, I see it on screen, and then I see it in my wallet. But it was the first time that I had minted, and it's basically like you're minting from contract on Etherscan. Like you don't see what you get. Now we get that. It's like so common, but at the time that experience was dope as fuck. Like I was buying with ETH and not seeing what I was getting. Like that was really cool. Hazy B, can you pull up the Rager Mouth? Can you pull up the cowboy that I minted? Now, mind you, I was knee deep in Zed Run. I told you I was appraising horses in Zed Run. I was feeling like an outlaw in Zed Run. And I pull this ape, like Rager Mouth, zombie eyes, cowboy hat, light BG background, prison suit. I was fucking sent.
Oh, that's so lit, dude. That was like it for you. That was like, I'm locked in. I'm in the right place at the right time in history. This is my freaking ape. This is my freaking destiny right now.
1686.
So this guy you have from Mint.
Yeah, dude. So think about that, right? That's Mint 1686. So Pranksy hasn't got in yet. This thing didn't sell out. It went to like 4,500, and then overnight, like that's when Pranksy did his magic. So
yes, and that's that's where like my story like kind of I could pick up a little bit here. So I'm that degen from the daily fantasy sports world,
Let's
from
go.
From the poker world, from the gambling world to Top Shot that like got ripped on a bag of Top Shot. Like I was up so big. I was buying in January 21. I was just like, oh, you just, whatever you buy, just get the Zion Williams rookie card for $1,000. Now it's worth $10,000. What's up now? Like the NFT game. I freaking run the NFT game. I'm like seeing who's on the leaderboard on Top Shot. Like I'm chasing them down. I'm freaking piling more money into this. And, of course, like I got wrecked on Top Shot pretty bad. There's no question about it because I didn't realize it was not up only. I thought this was so new and it was so nuanced that like it's got to be up only because once the rest of the world finds out about this, where's it going to go? It's got to go up. So no, it came down. We're not going to talk about why. No. We're not going to talk about why.
I was even, if you look in my wallet, I have a bunch of pixelized like Zion Williams and other basketball players because I was thinking y'all were going to come over to Super Rare and y'all were going to be my exit liquidity on some one-on-one art.
Yeah, I've seen your wallet. I've seen it. We're going to be digging into that throughout the course of Good Facts on Web3, the podcast series here. So I ended up, next thing I did is I was like getting into Zed Run, same as you, dealing with their issues. They were dropping horses. I bricked the first time. I was pissed. I came back for more. I was able to scoop some on one of the other mints. Along the way, I minted an Appymon egg.
Yeah,
this was kind of like
those.
My first. Yeah, this was like one of my first like OpenSea type of purchases. Actually, I didn't buy it from OpenSea. I bought it while it was still on a bonding curve, which was like the meta at that point. It was like, it was like the most clear like Ponzonomics. Like, like I'm buying it for more than the last guy, but the next guy is going to buy it for even more. So by the time this sells out, I'm already ahead.
Right.
And so this is a great story. I got this Appymon egg. What was supposed to happen with this product is they were supposed to be like putting different kind of NFTs or ETH inside the egg. And then you could like lock the egg and you could at a later time, open the egg or you could keep it. And I was like, wow, like we're all talking about these eggs and you could win. They even said we're going to put a Zed Run horse in here.
They had a crypto punk.
They had a crypto punk. I'm like, this is sick. And I bought it. I bought into it for, I want to say like it was like 0.08 or maybe it was like a little bit more. But basically at one point I got an offer for like zero point 0.4 ETH. And I was like, all right, here we go. This is how you make money in the NFT game. I bought it for 0.1. I'm going to sell it for 0.4. Let's go. I clicked the accept button. I'm like, let's get it. I'm waiting for the MetaMask to show my gains. I'm already fist pumping. I'm like legit already out of my chair. Like, let's go. Money doesn't show up. I'm like, what's the deal? I look. I'm trying to figure out what happened. The egg is gone. The Appimon egg is gone. The ETH didn't show up. And I realized that I accepted a USDC offer for 40 cents.
Low. Oh, boy.
So my first gain in the ETH NFT space was actually my first taste of getting scammed in the NFT space. I still got that 40 cents in my wallet just to remind me about that.
That's good, man. That's good. Was that back? That was at the time where OpenSea was allowing people to just name their account as WETH, right? So it comes through 0.4 USDC, but it's placed by someone that's named WETH. So it reads as 0.4 WETH. Was that the time?
Yeah. It was. I took this up with OpenSea. I was on Twitter. I was pinging them like this is BS. Like if I'm accepting an offer, at least show me in USD value or some proper way to like show ETH value or that this is actually not ETH or something. But look, that was a lesson, and ironically, shortly after that, the project rugged anyways. So those Appimon eggs, as Hazy B just showed us, went to zero. There was never any gifts in there. There was never any prizes. There was no crypto punk. They just took all the money. The eggs were never opened. It was a straight pure rug. And this was like a welcome to the NFT game. You better watch what you're doing. You're on your own. You need to watch your step. You need to be careful. Otherwise, you're going to get scammed. You're going to get rugged. And boy, wasn't that the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like to everybody that's new to the space too. Like when they kind of ask like about the scams and stuff, it's just like there's always scams in everything. You always, whenever there's money transacting, especially when it's transacting like the more freely money transacts, the more opportunity attack surface there is for scams, right? So it's kind of crazy. I don't think it gets talked about enough that when you make financial opportunity borderless and you open up financial opportunity outside of sovereign states, you basically are opening up the attack surface for scams. Like that is like a premise that's true. So I think it's crazy that there like a lot of the narratives out there talk about the scams of crypto and people thinking crypto is a scam, when in reality it's the premise of opening up borders that increase scam opportunities and increase people to onboard and therefore increase people to be, victims of scams as you were. But see, the thing is like, I've had my share of scams. I think my total scam bucket is at like 3.3, like I think 3.3 ETH in scams that I've like fall victim to. But one of the like best, I've almost had an ape taken from me probably 3 different times on 3 different like attacks. So it's out there, it happens. But I think that's what happens when you put value on chain and you knock down the borders for things. You got to be on your toes.
So that brings us back to kind of like catch up to your story here. The night that Bored Ape was minting out, I had seen it. I'd seen the art. I liked the art. The thing that kind of threw me is I was like, I don't understand. Like, what are these apes? What are you supposed to do with this? And they were like, yeah, like the utility is like you can draw on the bathroom wall. And I was like, what are these guys talking about? This is childish. And my wife was like, honey, let's go to dinner. And I was like, yeah, like I'll come back to this. Like I was looking at the minting page and I was like, let's go to dinner. Went to dinner, had a couple drinks, came home, went to bed, woke up to check, what's the status. Pranksy had minted like, I don't know, 1,000 apes overnight. Yeah. It's sold out. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm hearing the chatter. I'm seeing the apes going buck wild on Twitter. Everybody's loading up the PFPs. I'm like, oh my gosh, I still got like a Top Shot PFP. And I was like, do I buy this? Look, at the time, it was like, getting up to like 0.4 ETH. ETH was in the range of,
$3?
a couple thousand, maybe $3.
Yeah.
It was like a chunk of change. At that point, I still wasn't too sure that investing, $1,500 or $1,200 into like a monkey PFP made a lot of sense financially.
Yeah.
But what changed it for me is a gentleman that goes by the name of Dingaling.
Dingaling.
Because Dingaling was well known in the Top Shot world and still is because he notoriously bought the number one serial number on a number of these like top shots that were very desirable. And so he was a Top Shot whale, and now he was into ETH NFTs as well. And maybe he was before, but this was the first time that I noticed that, oh wait, Dingaling's also over here splashing some chips around in ETH. And the day that things started changing with the Bored Ape Yacht Club project was the day that Dingaling started smashing the floor, and he just started buying up that 0.4. And I was like, okay, I can't wait any longer. So I bought my first ape at 0.5. I bought my next ape at around 1 ETH. And kind of the story goes on from there. But back to you, Goodmonth. You minted one zombie-eyed cowboy prison suit that you still have.
Raid your mouth.
So what about the rest of these apes? Where did you get the rest of these apes?
Yeah, man. So next time we do the show, Hazy B, we'll have a little noise for Dingaling anytime we say his name. Let's get a little chain Dingaling because he's one to pay homage to as well as Pranksy. But so I minted that guy 2 a.m. I just couldn't be any more stoked with what I rolled. I go to bed. No. I'm stoked with what I roll. I update my PFP to this monkey. I got to go back and find that tweet. And I go to bed and I wake up and all of my Twitters just capitulated to 8 PFPs. Like, I'd never seen anything like this. It's just like my crypto Twitter that I'm obsessed with, that I created, 5 months ago, is all apes, and I'm obsessed with them all. Like, I remember just seeing them all and just being like, damn, that's a good one. That's a good one. I don't even think at this point I went to OpenSea to surf what was for sale. It was like I was curating my taste for apes based off people's PFPs, and then this Ape Follow Ape kicks off, and it just I think, I probably had 500 followers prior to Ape Follow Ape kicking off before this bake mint, and then 24 hours after this mint went down, it was 24 hours after this mint went down, it was I think I shot to 1,500 followers or something. So just 1,000 followers just right off the bat. And I was like, yeah, dude, this is a zeitgeist. we're in it. And at that point, when I knew we were in pocket and I knew it was this channel to just grip, I just didn't know how much time it was going to be a thing. So I just was steady hunting, and I was just like studying it and making sure that I was on top of it. And my number one goal was like, hold the bag, right? That was my number one goal going into it. I had zero flipping motive. Like,
Well, that's interesting because, like, I think that's where a lot of people went wrong. It was like, yeah, like this is up in ETH. I'm gonna take my ETH. This is a monkey JPEG.
yeah.
While you were like, I need to curate this collection and I need to hold these apes. Why? Why are you holding?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was obvious. I'd never had that experience before where you're on a social platform and something you bought the night before has now transformed to the identity of other people that you followed within 24 hours. That's never happened. Like, in my life, I'd never seen that. I bought this 24 hours later. Everyone is bonded by this PFP of people that I follow in the space. So I knew that something net new had happened, but the thing that really was the bull case at that point was the ape follow ape. Like I popped in the bathroom the next day and drew a pixel, but it's not me. Like, I'm not gonna spend time drawing pixels. Like, I think I think there are people today that still are the pixel army. I think they still defend that wall in there, and like, there's a niche of people that do that. But like, that wasn't me. But what was me was seeing all these people connect with their apes and engage and just come in and say like, ape follow, like, commenting on people's tweets. And so I was just, for like a week, I was just banging comments on Twitter, just saying ape bless, ape bless, ape bless. That was my thing. So once I looked at NFTs at this point as angel investments, where you just needed to just like, you're kind of praying and spraying and you're just holding the bag. And the bag's either going to be a write-off because it's going to be worth nothing, or the bag's going to be a long bag that it's going to take you to Valhalla.
So, like, the big kind of wake-up call and differentiator for you then was seeing how this translated into social media and Twitter and the engagement and just kind of like basically the party that it turned into.
Yeah.
Is that the case? I mean, yeah.
Yep. Huge party.
So,
and then I think like there were just like, then the meta started rolling out, the cheetah versus DMT beef, the certain trait-based access that groups were forming on. And so I remember sitting my wife down and I was about to plunk 3.9 ETH into a Bluebeams. And it was like, I can go bag, I think at the point, the floor was 0.4 or something. So it was like, I can go bag 9 to 10 of these, or I can grab a Bluebeams for 3.9. And like, prior to this, I have pieces of art from Super Rare Foundation that I've, paid 7 ETH, 4 ETH. I think I bought a hash mask for 9 ETH, like back in January of 21. So 3.9 wasn't a lot of ETH, but I think at this time ETH was like 3K. So, it was like full sending about 10 G's into what I thought was a big old bull case bet. And that was the only BAYC merch Bluebeams. And I bagged that for 3.9. Flash forward some months, and we made that trade for the Trippy.
Yeah, so you ended up trading the Bluebeams in a deal to get the Trippy, aka Trip Summers, which kind of brings us to this topic of Bored Ape IP which we're not going to dig into too much today, just for the sake of time. But, just as a generalized question, if you look at the Goodmonth vault, it's full of apes. And there's Trip Summers, the man, the myth, the ape, the legend. And you got doggos. You got 1669. That's the current price. If you want to bag Trip Summers right now, you can for the reasonable price of 1,669 ETH, which currently is about $2.2 million. But you got doggos, you got apes, you got mutants. I got some pieces of my own. Between the two of us, we got quite a collection to play with. We got a lot of IP. Goodmonth, what the fuck are we going to do with this IP?
Yo, I think that's the thing about this IP game is there are so many people who sat back and bought and thought licensing was going to roll in. And at the end of the day, it's like, this is ground floor of IP. You got to build it. You got to build it yourself. So a topic for the next episode, but Goodmonth has turned into a company. It's Goodmonth Labs. Goodmonth Labs is having products, Web3 products come out. We're hell-bent on helping people navigate Web3 in a manageable way. Trip is going to show up as a spokesape, as I like to call it, for products coming out of Goodmonth Labs. Trip is going to be focused on being put into lores, put into story, building out that ape's personality, and just not stopping. He's a philanthropist. He's got a nonprofit he's a part of. And it's just the beginning.
Love to see it. And I will personally see to it that this sick vault of Yuga assets does not go to waste. We owe it to Web3. We owe it to the NFT community. We owe it to the Bored Ape Yacht Club to build out that IP and make our mark on the metaverse. And I'm going to help you do that, my friend. And we're going to document that.
That's why they call him
throughout
FaXx.
the course of this podcast. I'm very excited about it. I'm also very excited about a golf tournament that's coming up on November 4th at Aviera Golf Club.
Indeed.
The Probably Nothing Cup. Can you tell us a little bit about the Probably Nothing Cup? Kind of like what's going on? How, where did this come from? How does this fit into the picture of Goodmonth Labs? What's going on?
Yeah, man. I think Web3 is going to be a space where people need to get out. They need to touch grass, and they need to connect, and they need to be in person, but not your traditional type of conferences that the whole Web2 world's up to. I particularly get my outlets in golf. Like, golf is one of those things that I hate the culture of golf. I love what it does to my soul, though, when I'm out there playing, swinging, hitting a ball. The amount of networking opportunity that I've experienced in my life by having golfing skills, or, just saying yes to going out and getting on a course with people. The amount of doors that get opened because of people being on a golf course, I'm bullish on that. With all that said, the golf world needs to get some Web3 punk rock infused into it. It needs to change. And so golfing is going to be one of those things that I'm always going to be, I'm going to take it with me as I get old and decrepit. I want to infuse as much of the big brain degenescence folks that I've met in Web3 to go out and meet us on the course. So a couple of things. We have a NFT collection called Baz Tour. that has art that's focused all on kind of golf references. And so we set out to try to capture these golfers that are into art, into Web3, and we are partnering with a nonprofit called Probably Nothing Cup. And the Probably Nothing Cup is going to be putting on these golf events with the whole intention of getting Web3 people together to these golf courses to meet, network, talk shop of the Web3 world, donate to charity, and continue to build a new culture around the golf world, and also have a touch point for Web3 networking.
Love to see it. Love to hear about it. Fortunately, I'm also a big fan of golf. I've put in enough time on the course to, show up and let it bang. Hazy B gave us a little taste of that Baz Tour art by Kyle. Is that how we pronounce it?
Kyle Kill.
Is it Kill or Kyle Kill?
Kyle Kill, straight out of Perth, Australia. Great story there, too. An artist who did not golf, did this project, and has now picked up the stakes.
Boom. The art slaps, the way that some of the people I invited into this event here were able to register for the Baz Tour was by picking up a Baz NFT. The tour is going to be starting off here with the event 1 on November 4th at Aviera Golf Course in beautiful North County, San Diego, which is also the home of an LPGA Tour event, legit course. We're going to be there. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there. We're going to be networking. We're going to let it bang, and we're going to pop it off. I'm very excited about it. My friend, we have a lot in store for this podcast. We're going to be talking Metaverse. We're going to be talking about Bored Ape IP. We're going to be talking about Rumble Kongs. We're going to be talking about Club 824.eth, building that out. We're going to be talking about other NFT projects like Guttercat Gang, like Wagme United, like Zed Run, and whatever else we feel like talking about, frankly. But I really enjoyed the history, getting to know you better. And like I said before, I'm super bullish on you. And me and Hazy B, man, we're just going to link in and just ride your coattails to the top, bro.
Wow. Well, I appreciate it. We're going to get Hazy B on the boards here making ding-a-ling noises. We got FaXx spitting truths. And we're going to bring people along the builder journey,
There it is. He's got the noises. That sounded like coins, bro. Oh, yeah.
That's the ding-a-ling right there, baby. Oh.
Let's
I
go.
love it.
All right, so the timing's good, man. We'll let you go. All right, that was our show today. I hope you enjoyed it. Good facts on Web3. We're getting ready for the Probably Nothing Cup on November 4th. And that's going to be followed up later this year in December with an event in Miami for Art Basel. We got a lot to share with you, and really happy you tuned in. Looking forward to the next episode. Be well, let it bang, stack it up. Let's fucking go.
RP got that heartbeat. Bridge built to the swamp, now the apes are barking. Picking up bananas like you ever heard a cat laughing. They on time sweeping. What's left? Got a red disease, call it out of weight. Headed down from the treehouse with a floor 8 mate. Banging on the door for Ghana to let us in. Wi-Fi rotated, new pin, 8-pin. Checking the collections and the trace all copped. Homage is non-stop, the colors all pop. Admiral Code Devil horns don't miss. Yellow BG with the floor skin hits. Let's get it. FedEx, me no, I got more gon' send it. Green chip printing. What's that sentence? Don't be a DJ when you wake me is running. Let's get it. FedEx, me no, I got more gon' send it. Green chip printing. What's that sentence? Don't be a DJ when you wake me is running. Let's get it. If you try to make a trade on my apes, boy, you staring.